to Moments with Marianne. I am so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have just an amazing show coming right up. Our first guest is none other than JP Sears. Now, JP is an emotional healing coach, a YouTube phenomenon. He's an author, international teacher, speaker, world traveler, comedian, and a curious student of life. His work empowers people to live more meaningful lives, and he's the author of How to Be Ultra Spiritual. Now, JP's very active with his online videos where he encourages healing and growth through humor, including his Ultra Spiritual comedy series, which has accumulated over 100 million views. So let's welcome to the show, JP.
Hey, Marianne. Thank you for the welcome to your show. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, thank you. I've been following your messaging for some time in your videos, and I love them. I absolutely love them because it just brings such a great amount of humor to a topic I think sometimes people take a little bit too seriously.
Yeah, and I think anything is something to be careful about taking too seriously. There's an Oscar Wilde quote that says something to the effect of life is too important to take seriously. And I agree with that. I think we deserve more respect than to take ourselves so seriously. I think seriousness comes from a fear-based consciousness. I think it's a constriction of control. And man, life doesn't feel very enjoyable when we're just serious all the time. I think seriousness is certainly an okay posture to go into here and there when it serves us, but I don't think it serves us all the time.
Well, and I don't think most people look at being serious as a component of fear. A lot of times they look at it, I'm being responsible, or I'm being, whatever they want to label it. And it's so nice to see that you are really touching on a topic where some people are going, gosh, I could look at this in a completely different way and laugh at myself and laugh at you and have fun, Yeah.
I think laughter it's a practice of non-attachment, where when we laugh at something, we're in the process of unattaching from it. Meaning, we're no longer as self-identified with whatever it is we're laughing at. So a belief we've had, a practice we have. Now, it might stay a very important belief and practice, but we're no longer going to be as self-identified with that thing that we're not, because we're using the alchemist of laughter to create non-attachment from us and the other thing, the belief, the practice, the philosophy, whatever it might be.
Well, it seems like, just from my personal experience, when I have those kind of attachments, it's really because I'm hiding a certain pain that maybe I don't want to deal with. It's much easier to say 10 Hail Marys than have to deal with my pain.
I wish that wasn't true, but that seems to be it. Yeah, I think walking forward into the fires of self, it's important. If we have pain, you can do your best to avoid it. It doesn't mean it's going to go away, and I think there's always consequences to avoidance, and I think the longer we're in an avoidant posture, the more intense those consequences seem to get.
Now, and to kind of back up a little bit here, so you've been actually doing life coaching for about 15 years. How did you get started on this path, this glorious path of life coaching and humor and just bringing it all together?
Well, the life coaching path came about because I desperately needed emotional healing and connection with my heart. And I started off by projecting that onto other people and had the desire and passion to help other people connect to their heart and heal their emotions, because I didn't know how to be honest and vulnerable enough to say, I need that. So I projected that onto other people, which was great. It got me in the door of that world, which then quickly thereafter, being in that door, you find out I really need this. I've got a whole backlog of stuff in my heart, old wounds that have been completely neglected. I've just been numb, so it's been easy for me to believe they're not there. So that's what got me in the door, my need for it. And then the humor side, that started in my childhood. Humor it was a couple things for me. One, it was a way that I could create joy in life. And then it was also a way that I would escape pain. If I felt insignificant inside, instead of feeling that feeling that I don't want to feel, I found that if I could make people laugh, then I feel significant because I made them laugh, which allowed me to feel a sense of significance instead of the core of insignificance that was actually inside of me. And then, those two worlds of working with people in the coaching realm, in the humor world, I really kept those separate. Until about 2.5 years ago, when I started making comedy videos as a way of delivering deeper perspectives for people to consider. So I merged the worlds together, beginning in my comedy videos, which, is looking back, it's like, wow, I can't believe I kept those two worlds separate for so long.
I think so many people do that, where they have that spiritual component, whatever that is for them, authentically how they feel about themselves and the world around them. And then they've got their business life, and it's like, ooh, we can't mix the two. When I think you really come from a place of just greater personal empowerment when you're able to encompass you look at yourself as like a diamond. This is just one facet, but all this creates me,
Yeah, 100%. I think us being ourselves is the most profound way we can bring value to the world. And I'm certainly guilty of being a slave to expectations and trying to make the purpose of my life to fulfill those expectations. But unfortunately, that comes at the discount of being the diamond that I am, and all of us being the diamonds that we are when we're busy worshiping other people's expectations. So it's like at least for me, when I've tried to become the prophecy of people's expectations so that I can get this shallow currency called approval, then it's like I'm being something far less valuable than what I actually am. That the more I think we can get out of our own way, which is way easier said than done, we can present the ease and grace of being ourselves that is priceless, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times when people get into like this, because I grew up Catholic, when we get in, start following our own spiritual path and whatever that looks like for us, we hear a lot of or see a lot of ideas where spirituality should look a certain way or we should act a certain way. And you really knock down those barriers for people to say, hey, it could be fun and wacky, but, there's authenticity to your humor, which I so much appreciate.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Personally, I believe being real is a much higher state of consciousness than pretending to be happy all the time, than pretending to be just very precious and everything needs to be deep and insightful. That when that's all we can be, we aren't being honest. We're presenting a very modulated self-expression. We're withholding a lot. And I think a lot of us can sense that far more than we give voice to it. We sense it in other people, and hopefully we sense it in ourselves too. But yeah, to me, being real means we can actually connect with each other. It means we can actually give ourselves permission to be how we are in the moment. We can feel how we feel. If we're angry, we can get angry. We don't have to suppress our anger and have so much shame about it that we pretend it's not there because we think we need to be stoic and insightful and I need to be meditative and surrendered right now. It's like, yeah, be meditative and surrendered at times. But when something's more authentic to you in a given moment, then maybe we can have the courage to say yes to that too, instead of the I would say the cowardness to lie about it by withholding it. So man, I think when we're real, other people can actually connect to us because we're actually giving them the real surface area of ourself so they can connect. But when we're just giving them a facade, as delightful as the facade might be, there's nothing real to connect to there. It's just a facade.
And people, they can feel that and they resonate with it. And I think that's why your messaging and your videos are so popular. It's because people, I mean, they can have fun with it, but there's a huge amount of authenticity that comes from that as well.
Mm. Yeah. What is it? Taoism. They say something like, in the pursuit of knowledge, you add something every day, but in the pursuit of the Tao, you let something go every day. And if we pretend the same thing with ourself, in the pursuit of ourself, self-realizing, I don't think we really need to add anything to us to complete ourselves. I think we need to shed the psychological scar tissue of who we're not, do our best to let go of that, so that we can have a more complete connection to who we are and like who we've always been underneath the surface of the beliefs and identities that we carry around as the scar tissue.
And I think it's really easy for people to, if they're born into families that want them to be doctors or attorneys, or there's that certain level of expectation, they don't really feed their soul and follow their own divine, whatever their purpose is, wherever that feeds their joy. And it's easy to see in the videos that you do. I mean, you feed your joy.
Yeah, I do my best too. I definitely won't pretend that I'm always joyful. I mean, that'd be a mental disorder. But yeah, the work I do, it definitely is a source of joy for me.
Well, I've got to tell you, JP, I've never had a rooster on the show. So,
man, there's Costa Rica, where I'm at right now. I've had to reach a new place of surrender where there will be noise, period. And I've been here for what's it been, a month and a half now at this point. And I've been doing videos every week here. And the first couple of videos I did here, I was just stressed out. I was like, there's this background noise. And if it's not a rooster crowing, there's like a locust buzz in the background, or there's a car driving by or a dog barking. And I was driving myself nuts. And I've reached a place of surrender that said, I can either just not do videos, or I can accept there's going to be imperfections, and that's okay. But let me say yes to do my art on canvas that has a few little stains on it.
Hey, I'm all about the art of imperfection, so I get it.
Yeah. And they're natural sounds. Who doesn't love a little animal sound here or there?
Oh, come on, you paid that rooster.
Yeah, it's the nature soundtrack that I have playing in the background, so people think I'm in a natural environment.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and that's all. I think that kind of adds fun to the journey. Sometimes sterile environments just don't. They're just not as much fun, and it's kind of it's nice to be able to be just in that moment and have the crazy bird yelling in the background.
For sure. Yeah, in the real playing field of life, people, there's going to be birds making noise.
Yeah.
The sooner we can realize that, the better.
Well, and it kind of is a little bit of a testament to things don't always go perfect, and there might be things that throw you off your path, but hey, big deal. Dust yourself off, get back up, and keep going.
For sure. Yeah. And who is it? Maybe an Alan Watts line. He says, nature doesn't make straight lines. Nature always makes squiggly lines. Oh, that's a big nature sound right there. So I think for me, I can fall prey to my own control dramas, or I'm metaphorically trying to make everything in a straight line. Everything needs to be neat, tidy, the way I think it should be. And I was like, wow, there's, okay, some of that is maybe okay, but there is a brilliance to nature. And nature doesn't make straight lines. Everything in nature is squiggly. Nothing is man-made straight in nature. So being here, and amongst other lessons of life, definitely learning, like, wow, come to peace with the squiggly lines, because not only are they going to happen, but there's probably more brilliance in the squiggly lines than there are in the straight lines.
No, I agree with you. It's kind of where all the creativity and art and magic happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
I sign up for that every day. I'll belly up to that bar. So, and so during your journey over the last, few years, because there's been so much that, your message has really taken off, and you've got this amazing book. And I got to tell you, it's not often I pick up a book and start getting into it and start busting up immediately. I was laughing actually out loud.
Oh, thank you.
Not the LOL that you send people, but and it was just such a joy to read. So how have things, what are some of the surprising things that you've come across?
Yeah, with my journey in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise, and it's such a pleasant surprise, but a shocking one, is the more I am myself and not apologizing for being me, the more success kind of easily happens. Where the first 13 years of my career, I was pretty restricted. I mentioned I didn't integrate comedy with my professional pursuits. So I was like, look, I'm not going to be myself. I'm going to be part of myself. But now I'm finding the more I can just be the unique expression of me, the more success happens. It's like life rewards me for having the courage to say yes to being me to a greater degree. So that's been a huge lesson. It's wow, always bet on myself, and not bet on myself in the egotistical sense, I'm better than other people, I'm the most valuable thing ever. It's no, bet on the inspiration that comes through me, bet on the expression that comes through me, and say yes to my unique personality quirks. That's okay. I don't need to be polished. I need to just be JP. So that's a very simple lesson, but that's been one of the most valuable lessons I've experienced probably my whole life.
Well, and I think it just brings, you had to have a lot of courage when you initially decided, hey, I'm going to integrate, these two aspects of myself so that the whole world can see, because, you're probably going, gosh, I'm not sure how this is going to be received, how people are going to take it. And it is just really, I think it serves as an inspiration for people that are living their lives compartmentalized, saying, well, I can only be this kind of person at work, or, and show this kind of face on social media, or whatever the case is, instead of really embracing everything it is that they are.
Yeah, I believe some very common ground that we all have as people is in some form or another, especially as children, we learned we need to be something and do something in order to have value. In other words, in order to be valued by other people, we have to do something or be something. And usually it has to do with what we need to be or do in order to get their approval. And to get other people's approval, being ourselves isn't part of that. Mm-hmm. It's reading people and being what we think we need to be to get their approval. That's the best route if getting approval is the mission, which we do that in order to be valued. So nowhere along the lines did anybody instill the programming in us that says you are valuable just being you? In fact, you are way more valuable just being you. And it's understandable. Like sometimes, and maybe a lot of times for some of us, when we were children, when we would actually be ourselves, we were disapproved of, or we were ignored, or nobody praised us. So we didn't see other people valuing us when we were just being ourselves. So we didn't learn to value us when we were just being ourselves, because we tend to model how other people treat us. But yeah, if we can surrender the idea, again, easier said than done, that we have to be something or do something other than just be ourselves in order to be valued, then we're stepping into our power. And I think sometimes, like, if you're a banker, you're probably not going to show up with a headband and a flower in your hair for work, but it's like, okay,
you could close more accounts doing that.
You might appeal to a whole new audience, but there's definitely appropriate room somewhere in the landscape of our life for us to become more unapologetically true to who we are.
And I think shining a light on the stories that many people have of that I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy, and saying, hey, you definitely are that. And, look for ways to make the shift into believing that you're worthy of every kind of happiness that you deserve, So it's really an interesting journey. And talk about happiness. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that you yourself are in a very lovely relationship with your girlfriend, Amber. And a lot of times when we look at people who are like spiritual unicorns like yourself, they may have a piece of their unicorn missing. Maybe he doesn't quite have that horn, So it all sorts of different things, because they may have it all together in some aspects, but maybe not in others. And it's not to say that you have it all together all the time, because I know that's not quite how you'd like your messaging to be. But I think it says a lot about who it is that you are as a person, and about following your path, because it really has just gained you these great relationships, and it just seems like everything is working out for you the way it should. You should be, you're doing what you should be doing.
Yeah, well, I feel very blessed, and I think the degree of connection that I have with me, which is something I've been really working on intently for the past 15 years, connection to living from my heart, taking heart-inspired action rather than manic action or inaction, trusting my heart. So I do think there's this proportional degree of when we're connected to ourselves to a deeper degree, then we are legitimately able to connect with other people to the same degree of depth. But when we desire a deeply connected relationship with a romantic partner or a friend or a business partner, but we don't get it, then that's probably a very accurate mirror letting us know we are not connected to ourselves very deeply, and we need to work on that. And we all know the saying, like, you can't give what you don't have. You can't give or receive a depth of connection that you haven't created for yourself yet. So I definitely feel blessed on that note, and I also acknowledge, I definitely have my challenges, and I think a happy relationship means there is happiness in a relationship, and there can be genuine happiness in a relationship because the other parts of the relationship are actually embraced with vulnerability rather than avoided with fear. So having the uncomfortable conversations, making space for upset rather than getting upset at our partner when they're upset, to me that's important. It's an important gardening technique so that happiness can actually grow. The way to be in a happy relationship is absolutely not to try to always be happy in the relationship. Otherwise, it's like you're expelling from the garden the very seeds that grow happiness. We need to embrace the vulnerabilities and the challenges and the discomforts, the upset, in order for there to be a hope in hell of genuine happiness, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone's got a bad hair day,
There's that.
Although not you, because you got the hairband with the flowers, so you're good, The rest of us, we got bad hair days. So, well, so JP, what are some of the things that you really want the readers to take away from when they obviously all go out and purchase How to Be Ultra Spiritual? What are some of the things you want the readers to take away from your book?
I think becoming the curious student of your own life, where we become willing to let go of old beliefs that don't serve us anymore, even beliefs that have served us well, but if they're not serving us anymore, being able to let go of those, because we're not in the concrete, conscious, psychological posture of certainty, but rather we're in the childlike state of curiosity, where we're willing to be the adventurous explorers of our own life, rather than grasping to the certainty of beliefs and practices that don't fill us up anymore. And then, of course, I love for people to walk away with inspiration to be more unapologetically true to yourself, while letting go of the things that hold you back from that.
Yeah, and I think that your book really offers people just another way to look at life and laugh, and as you were saying, connect with that child self, because I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of grew up with the Griswolds, so, I sometimes, you had to be really ultra serious as a child, at least for myself, because there was just so much going on. And to connect with that play again is just, I think, a really sweet thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree. There's been, I hear people all the time saying, I so agree with it, that if there's like a spiritual teacher or a shaman, whoever it is, and they don't know how to play and laugh, then they're not the real thing. Mm-hmm. I do think the part of the secret to having a great quality of life is knowing how to be childlike and to be playful. And not just be playful with the easy stuff, because that's easy, but being able to be even playful with the things that challenge us, the things that we're self-identified with, the things that we cling to. Even being playful with that, I think, is where the real reward is to be found.
Well, and so it kind of leads me to my next question, and unfortunately, we're kind of coming close on time, which is too bad because I'm just having fun with this discussion.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I know that you've been so busy with coaching in the past, and and correct me if I'm wrong, you've just gotten so busy that that's not something that you're doing anymore, because you're doing speaking engagements. What else do you have coming up for you? Because I'd love to hear what other things that you've got going on.
Sure. Well, I'm making videos every week. I've got a comedy tour coming up. I was just doing a lot of book touring, and there's other events that I'm speaking and performing at. And here in the not too distant future, I'll be launching a membership program where every month people are getting, actually every week people are getting new exclusive content to increase the purposefulness and playfulness in their life, so ultimately they can live with a much deeper degree of meaning. So that's definitely a big passion project of mine coming down the pipeline relatively soon.
I wouldn't be surprised if you have a TV show in the works, because I mean your message is just so much fun. I could see that you would be such a hit with your own show.
We'll see what happens. If that bridge presents itself, I'll consider crossing it.
Well, if it does, you let us know, because we would love to have you back on to talk about it.
Oh, sounds good.
Well, JP, thank you so much. Oh, and gosh, I'd be remiss. Where can people connect with you and be part of your community?
Yeah, right now the best place is on social media. Awaken with JP are all my social media handles, and Facebook and YouTube. That's where I'm publishing my videos every week. So that's a great place. And if you care to be informed when the new membership program's launched, you can hit me up on my website, awakenwithjp.com. Sign up for my email newsletter so I can shamelessly try to sell you something later.
Hey, I'm all for that. I've signed up for your social media, and I'm part of your community as well. And I highly suggest people go pick up your book, How to Be Ultra Spiritual. So, JP, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us today.
You're welcome, Marianne. I so appreciate you, sister.
Oh, thank you. We are going to pause here for a quick break, and we will be right back after these messages.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
Have you ever had the sense that your thoughts might actually be doing something? Ancient secrets of manifesting have been masterfully revealed in the award-winning book Manifesting 1-2-3 by Ken Elliott. For the first time, the author's experiences and stories in this book describe exactly how your thoughts can create anything. You've been doing this all your life, but it's never been fully explained for you until now. Visit manifesting123.com for more information today. Manifesting123.com.
Ben Wexler is a gifted leadership development and strategy consultant for professionals who want to transform their organizations and careers. Through a uniquely personalized set of processes, participants discover their unique knowledge, how to leverage that knowledge and experience, and then put it all together with a global strategy. You're more valuable, your organization is more valuable, and the change is viral. Contact Ben at 630-881-1074. 630-881-1074.
This is Jennifer McGill. My highly anticipated new album, Unbreakable, is now available at jennifermcgill.com. Everything from power ballads to high-energy jam-out-in-your-car songs. I used my highest joys and deepest pains to create empowering songs of love, strength, healing, and restoration so that you can be unbreakable, too. Get your copy of Unbreakable today from jennifermcgill.com, because who doesn't want to be unbreakable?
Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. Now, gosh, wasn't that so much fun with JP? If you haven't already, make sure to go sign up for his YouTube videos. You're going to laugh and cry and have a little bit of a spiritual boost there. So our next guest, Anysia Marcell Kiel, is a lifelong healing medium who has been able to communicate with spirits since she was a very young child. Anysia has received numerous literary accolades for her first book, Discovering the Medium Within. So she's here today to talk to us about her next book, Discovering the Healer Within. So let's welcome to the show, Anysia.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being on the show.
Oh, what a joy it is to have you here, Anysia. And my goodness, so your book just came out like a month ago or so, Discovering the Healer Within. And wow, what an amazing book, just hearing your story as someone who's so gifted and you're a medium. It's just so inspirational, your book. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it just was released on August 8th by Llewellyn Publications, which is a division of Llewellyn Worldwide. So it's just kind of getting out there. And this is my second book. It's a follow-up to my first book, Discovering the Medium Within, that was produced by Llewellyn in 2013.
Well, it's a great follow-up. There was a lot that I learned from that. And so for our listeners who are new to you and your story, why don't you share a little bit about your background? Because I understand you were able to see spirit at a very young age. Maybe you could explain to us what it was like growing up.
Sure. I was able to see spirits at a very young age, from as long as I can remember. And my parents have also said it's from the time I was about a toddler. I could see them all the time, just like I see people, 3D people. So I didn't even see them as translucent figures. It was a little overwhelming as I got older because I did not always know who they were, and they would just appear in my room, or I'd see them in different places. And it wasn't until I hit my early teens that I could actually hear what they were saying. So a lot of spirits are drawn to young children that are clairvoyant and very open, that have mediumship abilities. But until you're able to use your clairaudience to communicate with them, you don't really know exactly what they're trying to relay to you. So it was very scary. And I also grew up in a very Catholic family. So that was also a challenge for me because there's not much support in the Catholic faith for mediums. And it was a challenge growing up that way, But fortunately, I have two children with the same abilities. So when my son was born with those abilities, it really helped me to embrace my own abilities. Mm-hmm. I didn't want him to grow up feeling like a fish out of water. So for us, being able to read energy and feel energy and perceive spirits and communicate with them, it's very normal for us. And that's just the way we are. So we accept it.
I think they have such a head start without having to go through that confusion or kind of all those questions that come with the things that you see, because sometimes you see things that other people don't. And I'm sure as a young person, it's hard to realize, oh, these people aren't seeing this,
Right, exactly. And then what do you do with that when you're little and you're the only one that sees it, no one else sees it?
Mhm. And it can be kind of scary if you're not quite sure how to, really understand what's going on, especially as a young kid. I could imagine that would be very scary.
Yeah, I used to sleep. I mentioned it in my first book. I used to sleep with a blanket over my head at night because I had no other way of shutting them out, so I would put a blanket over my head when I was to bed at night. Yeah.
You're like, I am not paying attention to any of you guys.
I don't see you.
Out. Yeah, I'm going to sleep now. This is my time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and I hear that you started embracing your gifts when your children were showing that they had the same giftedness as you. Did you kind of at a younger age start kind of dabbling in your giftedness?
No, I actually, for my whole life, tried to run away from it. My abilities still kept opening. I could see and discern and communicate with spirits as I got older, in high school and college, and I kept trying to block it out because I really didn't want to be different, and I just wanted to be like everybody else. So having my son Braden, born with those same abilities, that was the catalyst for me really embracing it. I hadn't really embraced my abilities until that point. I would do, readings or communicate information for family members, but outside of that, I didn't want anybody to know that I had those abilities. I didn't want anybody to know that I was different because I was raised to believe that that was not a good thing.
Yeah. Well, and life changes when people know that you can do that. You get people that I'm sure that lean on you and so it's having to set up those appropriate boundaries, with friends and clients and, because soon the word gets out and everyone wants to spend time with you.
Yeah, I think that is an issue. For me, early on, it was more about being afraid of what people would think because I grew up in a very fear-based environment. So it was more about being judged and not fitting in because that's how I was conditioned to believe. And then having Braden born with the same abilities, I was like, I'm letting go of all these old belief systems because they just don't fit. I have to embrace this because I don't want him to feel like he's strange or there's something wrong with him.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he really appreciates that. My goodness. what a head start, and I'm sure they chose to incarnate with you because you're going to
right. Well,
help them.
I always think right. I think it's the other way around, really, because I feel like they're so much more advanced than me, so they are always teaching me, and I'm like, you guys came to save me. Yeah, so.
I can understand that. I mean, some young people that I meet that are highly gifted, I kind of feel the same way. I'm like, we're not even on the same plane here, So.
Totally, yeah. Briella is ridiculous. The things that she says, it's like light years beyond me, and she's only 8.
Are you recording some of that to kind of?
I'm writing it down. I'm writing it here. Do you want me to give you an example?
I'd love an example. Yes.
Because Briella has the same abilities, but she also is just on a soul level a Buddhist. And I'm born into a very Catholic family, so that's very different. She has a connection to Buddha. She's just, she meditates. She doesn't eat meat. It's totally different. Everybody in the family. So she's 6 at the time. Okay, this is 2 years. 2 years ago. We had been shopping at like a Home Goods. Do you have that out there in Colorado?
Oh, yeah, we sure do.
Okay. Yeah, so we're in there, and there's like a little Buddha head, for your home. And she says, I know that guy. What's his name, Mommy? And I said, oh, that's the Buddha, And she says, I know him. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I didn't know him. And she says, he's a really good friend of God, and he's a teacher, and he teaches that everybody matters. Animals, insects, everybody counts. And we're all supposed to be kind and compassionate. He was here, sent to this earth to teach everybody about God's love. So she's telling me this story, when
My
we're
goodness.
Right,
yeah.
at 6, okay? And I'm thinking
in Home Goods,
so,
and you're standing
here.
Yeah.
I'm scanning my mind thinking, where did she hear this information? We don't have any Buddha books. So she says, could she buy it, for her room? So, of course, what am I going to say? No. So I bring it home, put it on the shelf. A couple nights later, she says to me, she's in bed, and I'm rubbing her hair, kind of just putting her to sleep. And she says, Mom, why do you think God made everybody different? And I said, oh, of course, because everybody has different jobs. I said, of course, like I know, right? I said, of course, because everybody has different jobs, and we all need different skills. So everybody's different, so we could all do different jobs here. So she says, maybe if everybody was the same and everybody looked like me and lived in the same house and did the same things and ate the same things, then everybody and everything would be the same, and no one would ever learn and grow, because you can't learn and grow when everything's the same. So maybe God made everybody different so we could all learn and grow from each other.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? Imagine. So I said to her, can I change my answer to what you just said? It's way beyond me, So at that point, I realized this child is my teacher, clearly.
Well, obviously, it takes a very dynamic mother to have 2 so very gifted children, and thank you for sharing that. I mean, I can't wait for her book to come out.
Yeah, we're writing a couple children's books. We really are.
I bet. I bet. I mean, because that's I don't think they just really apply to children. I could see that really relating to adults as well, because of the messaging so powerful.
Exactly. It's written in a child sort of genre, but it has universal themes. Exactly.
Mhm. So, I know in your book you talk about, that you have been helping people and healing them, obviously. I mean, because that's all about people discovering the healer within. When did you discover that you can help people heal?
Right. Well, I just like to clarify. I don't really heal anyone. I help them heal themselves. Correct. And it's a very big point to clarify. When they come to me, they have a lot of things that they're storing in their energetic field, a lot of things that they've repressed, things that they're unaware that they're manifesting in an emotional or physical way. And with my frequency and the energy in the session, we bring that to their awareness and we help them let it go. But it's really the person that's doing the healing. I'm just a facilitator always.
I think I'll use your line, what you just said, okay?
Did I just pull a Marianne on you? Did I just do one of my little daughter's things? I apologize.
Yes.
But I just wanted to clarify because I don't want anyone to ever think that I can heal. They heal themselves. I just assist them.
Well, and I'm glad that you clarified that because a lot of times people do think, hey, this person's going to fix me, when a lot of it is really that inside job. And I know your book is all about that.
Right, exactly. There's a lot of inner work to do. But to get back to your question, when I first found out that I had some healing abilities, it was when in my first book I had a chocolate lab that had a torn ACL, and he was going to have to get surgery done to have the ligament repaired in his knee. And he was 12 years old at the time, and it was kind of risky for him. So one night when I was just sort of massaging him, I felt heat coming out of my palms. Mm-hmm. I didn't really know what it was, but I also felt like spinning discs in my palms. So I just put them on the dog, and I kept doing that repeatedly for a couple of weeks. And when we brought him back to the vet for the surgery, the vet would not do the surgery because he said the dog's leg had miraculously healed. And he asked how we did that, and of course I couldn't really relate because I didn't know what I did. So I talked to one of my cousins because we have a bunch of Reiki masters and clairvoyants on my father's side, and I was explaining it to her, and she said, well, for people that are natural healers, their hand chakras automatically open up when they're ready to start doing the work. And I assume that is what happened with mine. And then I studied some Reiki with one of my cousins so that I could learn the chakras and the aura and the energetic field. And then I just kind of worked with my guides to develop my own sort of way of doing the energy work.
I think it's so important when you have that personalized way of doing energy work, because the way someone does it might not really resonate with you and your team and your energy. So it's always nice to discover your own way of kind of how can I do it? Because you could take other people's information and adjust it as you need to fit you.
Right. Exactly. And then I think also you attract people that are within your frequency or are drawn to your frequency that you can aid in that way. So, people that I work with may not be a fit for somebody else, and I may not be the right healing facilitator for some people. They may work with someone else at a different frequency that's a better fit for their energy.
Yeah. Now, I know in your book, and I'm not going to go completely through it because I think it's a fabulous read, and we do want people to pick up their own copy of Discovering the Healer Within. But I know that you talk about overcoming some challenges, just during your entire journey as being someone so gifted, and so I thought maybe you could share like one of those experiences with us.
Sure. Well, a couple of them I talk about working with family members. I think when you do this type of healing facilitating work, it's sometimes a challenge to work on those that we love and we're emotionally connected to because we may be more invested in the end result of the work. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, the result is contingent upon that person, not the person that's facilitating. And that's a really big lesson for a lot of people that do healing work. I learned it in working with my son when he was a young child, with my brother when he was overcoming his cancer. A lot of times, when we're helping people that we're connected to, we want so much to see them well and see them better and heal themselves. But ultimately, all we can do is facilitate and give them love. And at the end of the day, where they wind up in their journey is according to them and their soul agreement and things that are in place. And we're not really in control. We can't force them to heal or, it's up to them. And that's a really big lesson.
Well, and sometimes being there and just giving love is all that's required.
Right.
And
the rest is up to them,
Yeah, in their journey, because we definitely don't. It gets into then if we even, come to a place where we're trying to, force it, and let's say, and then it gets into like this karmic situation where, they're not able to complete the lesson that they came here to learn, whatever that may be.
Exactly, right. And we just have to facilitate and always remember, whether it's a client or a neighbor or someone in our immediate family, we have to approach it the same way. It's up to them. We're just there to assist and give love. That's it.
Well, and I know in your book you shared that you had, gone to long-term care facilities and shared your gifts with some of the patients there. What was that like?
I had gone to a long-term care facility and worked with someone that had Alzheimer's. And that was a very interesting experience because I learned a little bit about what happens with that illness. I was called, I was volunteering at a hospice, and I was called to work with a patient that was in what they call a failure to thrive stage for Alzheimer's dementia. And when I went to visit this woman, she was almost like bedridden. She really couldn't move, but she could communicate telepathically very well. And she had said that she was trapped in her body. I really didn't know what she meant until I started working in her energy, and I could see that there was a mind-body disconnect, and this happens with people with that condition. They know they're supposed to leave, but they can't totally leave, so they need some assistance. And that happens with a lot of people in that situation. So I learned a lot about what happens and what we need to do to just help them and let them go, to help transition that situation for them. But it was a very good experience for me, and it was one of my first healing facilitating experiences that I went to. And I had gone to see the woman, and a week later, she had passed, like a half hour after I left. So I found out the following week that she had passed. And I realized that I was just there to help her transition.
Help facilitate that. I think, there are definitely people who are in that kind of situation that just feel stuck and trapped, and maybe it's just being able to say goodbye to family members, and
right.
Feeling like it's okay for them to go and do what they need to do.
Exactly, and let go. I have a friend who works with a hospice, and she does the energy work on the patients as well as the family members. And a lot of times she goes and helps the family members understand that they have to let go, to let the person transition, because their energy is actually holding them back a little bit, So there's a whole thing that happens there with regard to the energy and letting them transition.
Now, let's say, because I know you work with people and help them quite often with just energy work and also using your vast amount of gifts with them. Let's say you have somebody that you're working with and they just can't clear their own energy and they need that additional help. How would you assist somebody like that?
Right. Well, most of my clients, that's the case with them. You're not coming to me if you just want to talk to a relative and you just want a reading. That's not why you're coming to me. You go to a reading medium. So the people that are coming to me are people that are on a journey of some sort. They're clearing things in their own energetic field, and they can't get any higher. They've cleared what their frequency will allow, okay? So they're coming to me. My frequency is at a certain level, and I also have a spirit team that assists me in my session. So in the session, we bring their energy to a very high rate so we can shift stuff and move things around. When we're done, their energy slows back down to their regular vibration, and then I ground them very heavily as well. Most people, when they first get up, they feel like they're going to fall over. And even when they're sitting across from me in a chair as I'm talking about what's going to happen over the next week and I'm taking the sheets off the massage table, some of them feel like they're vibrating or pulsating a little bit because their energy is still shifting. Because when we clear things, we shift to a higher frequency overall. But our physical bodies are not used to vibrating at that rate. So it takes a little time for the physical body to adjust to the shifts.
Now, when you're doing sessions like that, the patient clients guides, do they come in and assist with that process, or is it pretty much? Yes. So it's like this collaborative experience between their team and your team.
Exactly. When as soon as the client is in the room and they recline on the table, I say a prayer and I invite their guides and my guides to work together for whatever's in the client's highest intention. And then I also bring in some energy to shield the space so that we're not dealing with any energy that's not within our frequency. And then we get right into the session. When we're done, I thank all of the energy that was present to assist in the session. And then I ground the client.
And then they sit there for a minute vibrating before they can get up and move.
They pulsate, we cut the cords. There we go. Okay, but usually they are pulsating a lot. It's like, it just happens.
Yeah, because they can feel that shift take place where,
right.
So when people are coming to see you, I know because in your book you really talk about how they can, heal themselves. If we're at a certain level vibrationally, can people actually move beyond that and help and make the adjustments that they need to make?
Yeah,
if they
definitely
want to heal themselves higher. Okay. So,
yeah,
and it's really based on their thought process and their belief.
Their thought right, because the thought processes really get in the way. The program belief systems, that's a huge thing that holds us back. And that's also connected to the ego, with our physical bodies. When we can transcend the ego and upgrade our thought patterns to higher dimensional thought patterns and belief systems, we can pretty much do anything and we are limitless. And the other thing is there's a direct correlation to our frequency and our abilities shifting up as well. So a child that's born with, mediumship abilities and psychic abilities, they're coming to the earth with a high frequency. And if they are nurtured, that will just continue to vibrate higher and grow. So people that are tuning into their abilities, they're actually shifting their vibration to a higher rate. And that's the higher you shift, the more you open yourself all the way around.
Well, and what a great place to be at where people can really do that. But I can understand where our thought processes do get in the way. We need gifted people that are experts like yourself to kind of help us with those adjustments. Because I hear very often energy healers that say, gosh, I can't heal my family members or my dog or, my cat, whatever the case is, because they're too close, which is probably not truly the case. It's more that that's their thought process, but they can, they need to get your book and they can do it.
They can, yeah. And I also say, as healing facilitators, again, we can't heal anybody. I mean, we can heal ourselves, right? We hope with our spirit teams. But as far as like the people we're seeing, our family members, that's up to them. You're right. That's up to them believing that they actually can do it and opening themselves and letting things go, releasing things from the past. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, you're basically deprogramming a lot of your thought forms that you learn on this whole earth plane. That's what you're doing.
And that takes a lot of work. That, it could go really quickly, but they're ready to get rid of it, or it could be something that maybe they need a few sessions to work on because they're kind of stuck in this old train of thought that's worked not very well for them, but it's a habit that they've created.
Exactly. You're right. And it could take some time for them to overcome that depending on how long that's been stored there. And it's basically playing like a record in their brain,
Yeah. Well, and typically, so you usually get people that come to see you because they're at that place where they really need that help. And, it sounds like, having sessions with you have got to be just absolutely lovely.
Well, it is for me. Actually, every session is totally different, and it's so exciting to watch the transitions that people make in their lives, to watch them clear things that they've held on to for 60 years because they're tired of carrying it, anything, trauma that's happened to them, whatever it may be, to see them let those things go and just blossom on their soul journey and step into their soul path, and to see them overcome karmic issues that they brought with them, and they've cleared that, they've overcome the lessons, and they're ready to do their soul work. It's beautiful. I feel just so lucky to even witness that.
And you get to actually see it with your physical eyes, so you can see what needs to be worked on and work on it.
Right, exactly.
Ah, that's just an amazing gift. I mean, I'm just kind of flabbergasted by that. I mean, it's not often you get to meet somebody that has that level of giftedness. And so I have to thank you for the work that you're doing just to help people kind of realize where their true power is at.
And that's what you say right there is what it's really about, embracing the power from your solar plexus, aligning with your soul path, doing what you really came here to do. Once you overcome the karma and the lessons and whatever trauma you had in this life, and you completely align with the soul path and you do the work you came here to do. No one came here to do nothing. Everybody has a purpose to help others in some way.
And it all involves growing and making mistakes and sometimes bumbling around, but then we get to meet wonderful people on our path, such as you, that can kind of help us get back on the right path that we're intending to be on, or kind of help us make those shifts and adjustments so we can keep going.
Exactly, and really live a beautiful, amazing life. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to vibrate at the highest frequency, which is the vibration of unconditional love. And there's so many challenges that come with our ego and personal issues with other people. It's hard to always stay in that frequency. But if you could just stay in that frequency for a couple hours a day, it's bliss. It's bliss.
And I think that's where everyone really strives to be. They just don't know how to get there, and that's why your book is such an important tool to kind of help people understand, hey, this is possible for you. You can do this.
Right. You don't have to have any special abilities. You just have to be willing to do your own inner work, to take an introspective look at yourself, to let go of what's no longer serving you. All of the exercises are very attainable. They're easy to do. And it's meant to be that way, to be very tangible for everybody, because everybody really can heal themselves if they're willing to take a look at what's in the way and let it go.
So, and that kind of leads me to my last question, just kind of touching on what you just said. So what if you meet somebody and they say, well, I don't see energy, I can't feel anything. Is it still going to work for me?
Well, I would say that I haven't met anybody like that yet. And I think because they probably would be drawn to another healing facilitator at a different frequency. You're not really coming to me unless you're ready to do the work. And that's because I put that out to the universe, that I really choose to only work with people who are really willing to do that work, because it's very intense. So if you're just dipping your toe in the water, you're not coming to me. It's just not a fit for you. This is like coming to the mothership. We're digging in. We're getting dirty. There's no messing around here.
Well, is that words of wisdom from your daughter? Because I could.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Well, so Anysia, so what do you have going from here? I know you've got, and then I was looking at your events, and my goodness, you are one busy lady. Because, all this month and, throughout, towards the end of the year, you're doing event after event after event.
Yeah, there are a lot of book events coming up. I have clients kind of all over. So I wanted to plan the book event so I could visit my clients in the different parts of the country. So this fall, I'm doing the North and Southeast, and then I hope to go out west in the early spring. I just couldn't fit it in with things going up until November in the Southeast. So I'm going to try to get out west in the spring. But my goal was to really try to go to different events where my clients were so that I could see them and we could discuss the book and that kind of thing. So there's a lot going on, a lot of book events. It's very exciting. I'm so happy that the book is doing so well. It's very well received. And I'm also bringing my children to a lot of the book events so a lot of people can ask my kids questions because they're in the book a lot. So it's a really exciting time for my family.
Well, I'm sure you're going to want to just, make sure to tape record everything your children say at these events.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, with those words of wisdom, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, I can't wait for those books to come out as well. We're definitely going to have you back on to talk about that. I'd love to have, you and the kids on to chat about their books when the time is right for those releases. But how exciting. And Anysia, thank you so much just for taking your time, your energy, and to just be here and share all this greatness with us with your book and your gifts.
Thank you for having me. It was really a beautiful time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share this information with your listeners.
Oh, thank you. And before we go, where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community?
Sure. They can go right directly to my website. It's www.anysiakiel.com. And then I have everything on my website, all my events and everything that's upcoming. There's a media page. But also my links to my social media are right on my homepage for my Twitter and my Facebook, and I have a YouTube channel as well.
And I know people can investigate more about your soul-centered healing sessions that you do and on your services if they want to go ahead and if they feel called to book an appointment with you if it's a good fit. And, and again, thank you so much, Anysia. This has been way too much fun.
Thanks so much, Marianne. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you, Anysia. It's been so great to spend this time with you and to share your talent and, of course, your new book. Well, that's all the time we have for today. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.